Welcome to another episode of the Style and Strategy podcast. We are coming into the final few episodes for 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't binge a couple of the great episodes that we've done. I'm actually coming into this is episode 49. And so next week's episode will be episode 50. So going out with a little bit of bang for 2024. If you asked me around 12 months ago when I said I wanted to kick off this podcast, would I've got to, or even thought that I would have 50 episodes coming up, it's crazy to think of. So you'll hear more next week, but really wanted to again thank you for tuning in every week to listen to me and my thoughts on building a personal brand and style, something and a topic that I'm super passionate about. So I'm hoping you're getting a lot of value throughout that. So I'm going to get into the topic today. But before I do, I just want to let you know, I recorded this originally a couple of weeks ago. And as we were editing the recording, what became evident was the video worked, but the voice or the audio didn't. So this is the second time I'm going to record this episode. So I'm hoping that's going to be even better than what I thought the first one was. So tune in, grab your coffee, go for a walk, whatever it might be. And I hope that you get as much value out of this as I am intending to give you.
I'm Sonia, a personal brand and style coach. My journey began in the corporate world and through lived experiences has led me where I am today. I've walked in those uncomfortable shoes, faced the same challenges and questioned my path to professional success while simultaneously navigating my personal style journey and the challenges that each decade brings. I wholeheartedly believe in the fusion of personal brand and style strategy. My mission here is to provide you with practical, actionable strategies and lived experiences to help you unlock your next level of success through the power of personal brand and style. Let's get started.
So today I'm talking about, we're coming up to this summer break time here in Australia. And, that's a time for giving, it's a time for family, it's time for, parking the diet, relaxing a little bit, eating a bit naughty, but most of all, spending time with friends and family. And a lot of time as a busy professional, you will start to maybe pick out a book that you haven't read or you intended to read, or perhaps you will sit down and start to really reflect on the year that was, especially as you come into the new year and start thinking about what are some of your goals and what are some of the focus points for you. So what I want to really cover off on here is thinking about your personal brand over this break while you're taking your sort of time out piece. Because I know for some of you, sometimes you get so busy doing the do, the emails at work, the meetings, everything else that's happening, that you're not actually taking an opportunity to have a strategic look at, well, what does my personal brand actually look like today, and is it where I want to go? So I'm really thinking about this as the 3 R's, and I like a little bit of an acronym. So this is reflect, refine, and recharge. So like I said, summer is really that time of vacations and relaxing and holidays, but it is that golden time to reflect and pause. And I want you to be really thinking about, are you showing up as that professional that you aspire to be? And is your personal brand really working as hard for you as it should be? So I'm going to guide you through 3 key actionable steps to really refine your personal brand, start to set some intentional goals around it. And I can hear you already going, oh, goals, but it's so important. And then make some most of, summer and that downtime for your professional and personal growth. And really, by the end of this, I want you to be in a position where you got clear direction around your personal brand, and your personal brand is that impression you leave on people. And it can really help perceive your expertise and leadership overall. And remembering that I'm not just talking to career professionals, I am talking to women in business, people in business as well, who are generating their own personal brand online as well. But I really want you to put the hat on, and regardless of what area of professional business growth, career growth you're sitting in, this will apply to you. So let's talk about the first step. So, what I want you to think about is something that I call auditing your personal brand. And I'm going to start off with looking at your digital presence. So, if you're a career person, don't tune out yet, right? Because I think you're going to be able to pick up some important points around this. So, when I talk about a digital presence audit, I'm going to primarily really dive into LinkedIn because it's holistic across both, whether you're running your own business or potentially, if you're in a career as well. And so the question is, when was the last time you really sat down and had a look at your digital footprint? When was the last time you actually Googled your own name? So maybe spend a little bit of time doing that. You might not have any digital presence, but many of us do without us even realizing it. And so, if that digital presence is there, is it really showing what you want it to show? And so the reason why I'm leaning into the LinkedIn side of things is because I want you to have a look at your profile, because actually a lot of the posts, the content, your details around LinkedIn has become quite connected to Google searches. So it's got a high ranking really on the Google searches. So you'll notice that if you do have details on LinkedIn, likely if you Google your name and you have one of those profiles, it's going to pop up there, number one. So that's why I'm saying let's focus a little bit of time on that. So a couple of quick tips around this. So the first thing is, does your LinkedIn profile actually reflect your current goals and career goals and accomplishments? Or is it something that's a little bit dusty and you might need to do a bit of a refresh on there? So a couple of things to look at is, number one for me is that profile picture. Is it a nice close profile picture? Can we actually even see your face in it? So if you can't and it's a full length picture, or perhaps it's one from a few years ago, I want you to look at, it's probably time to refresh this. I know I've had many instances where I've gone and looked up someone that I'm going to meet with face to face or even on a Zoom. And when they've come, what's actually happened is I've looked and gone, oh, wow, okay, the photo looks really different. And it's even happened to me. I've had really long hair and then I've had short hair as well. So even that shift there, people can go, oh my gosh, I didn't recognize you because you look so different. So it's worthwhile taking some time to have a look at that image overall and make sure it's something that really reflects you and the brand that you want to showcase. Think about your colors. Think about, what outfit have you actually got on there? What's something that's going to really represent you in that? The second thing is really thinking about your bio, your achievements, things like that. Maybe you've done some extra study. Maybe you've done some accreditations, that type of thing. Maybe your role has changed. Are those details actually up to date? And is it what it's communicating? Think about the audience that might be looking at that for you. So again, looking at the career professional side, it could be HR that's looking at that. It could be a potential employer that's looking around at that. So have a look and see what you've got in there. Is it actually up to date? From a business perspective, is your ideal client that you're trying to pitch to, is the information in there really positioned, and does it reference what that ideal client might be looking at? And then, of course, there's a whole section there. There's two. There's one really about what your bio is, and that first line that people go to when they see you, does it actually say, some people might have a title in there, some might have like what is also known as an I help statement, just to show a bit of brand, etc. There's a lot of really great real estate, I'm going to call it, in that section. So is it being maximized? Because you are so much more than a title. I also remember many years ago, always feeling really, and this is back in the days when I worked in corporate, feeling really blocked in. I had a title, but I was capable of so much more. But how do you actually get that out there and reflect what your capability is? Because sometimes that title doesn't do that. That profile gives you that opportunity to do that. So lean into it. And then the last bit there is your about section. Sometimes people won't necessarily look at that unless they're really interested in finding out a little bit more about you. So make it personal. Share a little bit of who you are, what you enjoy. Make it entertaining to read as well. So take the opportunity and do a quick audit on that. And I also do that with a lot of clients that I work with who are looking for that holistic personal brand side of things, before we get into the style component of it. The next piece that I would do in terms of a bit of an audit of your personal brand is, does your appearance and the communication style that you're talking about, which I touched on a little bit before, actually represent what you are trying to project for your personal brand? What do people say about you when you are not in the room? And does it actually align to what you want them to be saying about you? They could be saying she's a diligent worker, she delivers every time. These are all positives, but is it missing something that you've always really wanted them to say about you? So it's about spending a little bit of time to get clear around that. And then finally, just going back to that digital presence, don't forget, for many of you, you might have headshots on company pages. So, have a look. Are they still, up to date? Do they need a bit of a refresh? And are they actually describing you and your brand in a way that makes sense for the organization that you're in, and really the value that you provide across the board? And so that's what I recommend from a digital sort of presence side of things. Number two, from a quick audit, is actually spending time for setting some personal brand and style goals for the rest of the year. Yes, I know this is coming at you, first week of December, but it's not too late to start to think about that and or even get ready for 2025. So I will be looking at holding a bit of a workshop around this and getting you really in depth and putting down these details early on in the new year. So please feel free to DM me if this is something that you would be interested in finding out more about. But this is about reflecting on the year that you've had so far. And what are three things maybe you're really proud of from a professional perspective? And what's one area you would like to improve on? What's maybe some feedback that you've got around that year that could really help to start to inform some of the goals going forward? So when I'm thinking about personal brand goals, I want you to be thinking about things like, okay, it might be that you want to enhance your visibility on LinkedIn as an example, especially if you're in a business. So what does that look like for you? And what's the why? There's no point putting a whole bunch of goals on a page, because we've all been there where you've done that and go, really, I'm not connected to these in any way. The why behind it becomes so critical, because in the end, when maybe you don't feel like you're hitting them, then you need a bit of motivation around that. And the motivation's going to be is, what is your why? And that's what's going to keep you going forward around that. It might be that, you want to change roles in the New Year's, or you want to get an expanded position or be seen for a leadership opportunity or a potential other role, or you just want to be seen as different. And so what whatever that different is for you, you really need to sit down and define it. No one else can define that for you because it's innate in you. You have to know, where do you want to go on that? And I do help many clients and coach them around pulling that out to help to get to that end vision with a lot more clarity. And so when you're building out those goals, yes, you might have one or two or even three big holistic vision goals, but then you need to bring it down to that next level. And that's where that whole SMART framework comes in. And I can hear many of you go, that SMART framework, I have to do these, at work perhaps, and getting really granular. But remember, this is about you as the individual. You might be achieving great things in the workplace using goals like this, but we must never forget about us personally and what we are trying to drive through and what are our objectives and our goals for us, because nobody is going to drive your career than you, or drive your business than you. And so I really want you to be able to spend that time and thinking about what would be the tangible activities or things that I really want to achieve, whether it's in the next quarter, the year, but around my personal brand. Because if you haven't sat down and created that vision and created the steps to get there, then it's always going to be this dream in the future and you're going to park it. And so for me, seeing transformations, seeing activations in people just gives me the greatest joy, and seeing them, shift through that phase. So really ensuring that you are breaking down those big goals into micro actions. So if you say, for example, posting on LinkedIn, 3 times a week, or, talking about things that are happening is one of my goals, then, what are you going to start off with? If 3 is too much, maybe it's 1. What's the one step you can take towards whatever that goal might be? Okay, number 3 around my quick audit here is thinking about your networking opportunities. So I know some of you, and myself included, when I think about networking, especially if you or see yourself as a bit of an introvert, extrovert, yes, you enjoy connecting with people, but you also find it quite draining by the end of it, then networking is likely not one of your top priorities. So I really want you to be thinking about networking a little bit differently. So thinking about it like, I'm catching up with potential friends. I'm catching up with getting to know people more, right? Out of the genuine curiosity. And the reason why I say this as part of your personal brand, because we know more than anything, whether you're a business from a referral perspective or whether you are looking at your career, some of the biggest opportunities can come from your broader network. And so using, the summertime to connect with people that maybe you haven't connected with in a while. So it could be you've got a lot of Christmas parties that might be happening. There might be coffee catch-ups at this time. I want to catch up before the end of the year, that type of thing. Instead of potentially saying no because you're too busy, taking a look at it and going, okay, where could I fit in 30 minutes? Where could I fit in a 30 minutes face-to-face, or where could I fit something in perhaps in Zoom? Or again, thinking about that January timeframe to where can I connect and put some pieces in there as well. And then the second piece around networking is really networking with a little bit more intention that you had before, and thinking about, well, what is it in my network that I'm missing today? What genuine relationships do I need to start to focus on and build on? And how do I actually go out in building some of those connections around helping your personal brand and just building out some of those gaps that you might have identified in your goals? And then finally, in terms of looking at those 3 quick tips around, taking some steps to really reflect and refine and recharge your personal brand over the summertime, have a think about which one of these is most important for you to take a look at. Which one of these will be really the most important, and what's doable in the time frame that you've got. So I want you to pick at least one, whether it's auditing your LinkedIn, setting a brand goal, planning to attend something, whether this year or next. Just pick one. And if you need some accountability on that, drop me a DM and let me know. I'd love to hear about your summer brand goals, and, tag me on LinkedIn or Instagram. That's predominantly where I'm hanging out the most. But if you need a little bit more support around this, I've got to download a free guide that I've put together around building your personal brand and some Kickstarter steps around that. And I will have in the show notes details around how you can grab your copy of that. So take some time, enjoy the summer break, and recharge, refine, and reflect on your personal brand. And then next week, I am wrapping up 50 episodes of the Style and Strategy podcast. I can't wait to share that episode with you. Take care.
Thank you so much for being part of this inspiring episode. If you found value in today's discussion, please don't keep it a secret. Share it with a friend on social media, tag me at Your Style Collective, and leave a review. Your support means the world. Join me again next week for another empowering episode of Style and Strategy, the leadership series. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, you're already taking that first step towards your transformation journey. See you next time.